My cheating ex sent engagement pics to hurt me, but I saw someone in the background and accidentally destroyed his life. About a year ago, my ex-husband Sam, he was 32 at the time, decided to walk out on me. I was 30. Turned out, he'd been having an affair with a younger woman from his office. They'd been sneaking around for almost 8 months by then. We'd been together for 4 years, and married for 2. In fact, we were just a week away from celebrating our second wedding anniversary when he suddenly hit me with the truth. He said he couldn't keep living a lie and admitted he'd been cheating with Nikki, a co-worker of his. Apparently, a few weeks before he dropped the bomb on me, he and Nikki had confessed their love for each other and talked about spending the rest of their lives together. So now he couldn't keep pretending everything was fine with me. He told me he was leaving. To say I was blindsided doesn't even begin to cover it. Sure, I'd noticed he'd been acting a little off in the months leading up to that, but I chalked it up to stress at work. Not once did it cross my mind that he was sneaking around behind my back with a 23-year-old girl who had just started working there. But after that conversation, a lot of things suddenly started to make sense: why he'd seemed distant, why he was always working late. Turns out, it wasn't the job that was wearing him down, it was the pressure of hiding his affair from me. All those nights he claimed to be stuck at the office? He wasn't working overtime. He was with her. Right after he came clean, I told him to pack his stuff and leave. And he did, probably because he already had a plan with Nikki. From that point on, he moved in with her. The divorce was ugly. I won't lie, I was furious. I wanted to wreck him, emotionally and legally. And honestly, I don't think anyone would blame me for that. We had built a life together over 4 years, and he knew I already had deep trust issues from being cheated on in the past. He'd spent all that time earning my trust, only to destroy it all over again. That betrayal crushed me. I was in a really dark place for a while. Thankfully, I've come a long way since then. The divorce was finalized a few months ago, and the outcome brought me some peace. It went in my favor. I got to keep the house, the car, and I walked away with a pretty generous settlement. That didn't magically fix the pain, but it did give me a sense of justice. And knowing that it absolutely killed him to lose the house? Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that didn't bring me a little joy. Ever since, I've just been focusing on moving forward. I blocked him everywhere right after I found out about the affair, and I told all our mutual friends that I didn't want to hear anything about him. As far as I knew, he'd been living with Nikki since the day I kicked him out, and that was all I cared to know. This week would have marked our 3rd wedding anniversary if we'd stayed married, and I'll admit I was feeling a little down that day. But Sam decided to twist the knife even more. Out of nowhere, he emailed me. He sent a bunch of photos from his engagement party. Apparently, he and Nikki had just gotten engaged. And along with those pictures, he left me a message. Here's what he wrote. It's been nearly a year since we split up, and at first, I really did feel guilty for cheating on you. But now, I don't. I think everything happened the way it was meant to. Nikki came into my life for a reason. You were just a placeholder. You were never going to be my soulmate, no matter how hard you tried. You're vindictive, cold, and heartless. I know you turned all our friends against me, making it sound disgusting that I was dating a 23-year-old, like that's some kind of crime. Nikki and I are in love. I wish you could understand how amazing that feels, how age doesn't matter when it's real. You're closer to my age, yet you'll never have what we share because you're not capable of it. You poisoned everything when Nikki and I got together. And yeah, I admit cheating was wrong, but the way you retaliated was even worse. It only made me more thankful that I chose her. She's perfect, and you'll never be her. I thank God every single day that we divorced. You may have won the legal battle, but I won in life. I'm sending you these photos so maybe you'll see what real love looks like and finally move on. Happy anniversary. That message lit me on fire. He kept harping on this one point, that I supposedly turned our friends against him by making it sound like he was some creep for dating a 23-year-old. Let me set the record straight. I never tried to sway our friends or feed them lies. Sam and I had known each other since college, and we had a solid group of mutual friends. But after college, I moved out of state for work, and naturally, I lost touch with a lot of them. I only came back around 6 years ago and reconnected with that old crowd, including Sam. We started spending time together again, and eventually we got close. Our friend group was tight. They supported us. They supported me. So when he cheated and I told them what happened, which I had every right to do, they made their own decisions. I didn't have to tell them it was gross that he was dating someone that young. Even though, yeah, I do think it's gross. But I never said that to them. They made the call to distance themselves from him on their own. Even after all this time, Sam still thinks I somehow manipulated our friends into choosing me over him. He's convinced I turned them against him, like I forced them to pick a side. And he's still bitter about it, especially because the divorce didn't go his way. I think that really ate at him. So when he sent me those engagement photos, I figured he was just trying to rub it in, like he wanted me to feel small. And honestly, it worked. That email stung more than I expected it to. The part that really got to me wasn't just that he was getting engaged to the woman he cheated with. It was the way he said he'd wanted life and how he went out of his way to wish me a happy anniversary, like he remembered the exact day and wanted to twist the knife just a little deeper. It was calculated, cruel, even. I was about to delete the email, but something in the background of one of the photos caught my attention. I zoomed in, and sure enough, I recognized someone. It was a distant relative of mine, someone I hadn't seen in a while but definitely knew. Let's call him Jonathan. Now, Jonathan's not directly related to me by blood, he's married to my mom's third cousin. We've run into each other a handful of times at family events, but that's about it. My mom doesn't keep in close contact with that branch of the family, and neither do I. Still, I figured this connection might come in handy. I sent the photos to my mom and asked her if it was really Jonathan in them. I also filled her in on the whole situation, Sam, the cheating, the email, everything. My mom ended up calling her cousin to get more info, and after they spoke, we pieced it together. Turns out, Jonathan had been invited to the engagement party because he was considering investing in a business Sam was trying to start. Sam had apparently used his dad's old connections to get Jonathan involved, since Sam's father used to be close with Jonathan's brother. It's a tangled web, I know, but that's how they knew each other. So Sam had invited Jonathan to the party as a sort of friendly gesture, to build rapport before the investment went through. I asked my mom to pass along her cousin's contact info, because I really needed to talk to her. Since our families aren't that close, they had no idea what had happened between Sam and me. They didn't know we were divorced, and they definitely had no clue about what kind of person Sam really was. Now, I wasn't expecting anything huge when I reached out. I mean, who backs out of a business deal just because their investor's ex-wife had a bad experience? Still, I felt like I had a responsibility to at least let them know the kind of man they were considering doing business with. So I spoke to my aunt first, and she was actually really kind and understanding. Then she got me in touch with Jonathan, and I laid it all out. I told him everything about the affair, the divorce, and even forwarded him the nasty email Sam had sent me. I told him I wasn't doing this out of revenge, I just felt like he had a right to know the full picture before making a big decision. To my surprise, both Jonathan and his wife were really receptive. They were shocked, honestly. Sam had been nothing but polite and professional with them, totally charming, just like he was when we first met. That's the thing with Sam, he's always known how to put on a show when he wants something. After hearing me out, they thanked me for reaching out and said they'd have to think things over. I didn't expect any real outcome, I just felt good knowing I had spoken my truth and done my part. I figured that was the end of it. But today, I got another email from Sam, and this one had a completely different tone. Apparently, after our conversation, Jonathan had pulled the plug on the investment. He stopped answering Sam's calls, had his assistant reach out instead, and told Sam that due to special circumstances, he was no longer interested in partnering with him. And just to make things clear, the assistant even mentioned me by name, so Sam knew exactly why Jonathan had backed out. Since Sam had no other way to reach me, thanks to being blocked everywhere, he had no choice but to email me again. This time, he wasn't arrogant or smug. He was desperate. He told me he'd already quit his job and had started hiring people for his business. Without Jonathan's money, the whole operation was dead in the water. He said he wasn't ready to go back to working under someone else. Then he actually tried to bribe me, offered to make me a partner in the company if I could just convince Jonathan to change his mind and invest after all. He insisted that I was the only one who could turn things around for him. Reading that email? I won't lie, it gave me a huge sense of satisfaction. The same guy who tried to humiliate me was now begging for my help because his little revenge stunt had completely backfired. It was poetic justice, honestly. I was on cloud 9 for a while, just soaking it all in. But then, something strange happened. Out of nowhere, guilt crept in. I started questioning myself, wondering if I was being just as petty and vindictive as he accused me of being. I asked myself if enjoying this downfall made me any better than him. I talked to my parents about it. I reached out to a few close friends, too. Every single one of them told me the same thing, that the reason I was feeling guilty was because I'm a decent person. A good heart will always hesitate, even when it's been hurt. And honestly, that helped. Just because I've started feeling a bit guilty doesn't mean what I did was wrong. But even hearing that from people who care about me hasn't totally helped, because let's face it, my parents and my friends, they're always going to be in my corner. Of course they'll support me. They love me. I think what I'm really craving is some honest, unbiased perspective. Because the truth is, I've been enjoying watching Sam's plans fall apart, and only now has it hit me, I'm actively ruining someone's career. That realization has taken some of the satisfaction out of it. It's complicated, and I just really need someone to tell me straight, without any emotional bias, whether what I did was out of line. So yeah, I got an investor to back out of funding my cheating ex-husband's business. And now, his whole future plans are collapsing. That's the reality. Also, just to clear up some confusion that's been floating around, when I said it was gross that Sam was dating a 23-year-old, I wasn't saying it was illegal. I know perfectly well it's legal. That doesn't automatically make it okay, though. Let's put it into context. Nikki had only graduated 2 years before all this happened. She was still brand new to the real world. This job with Sam was just her second ever. Meanwhile, Sam had been working for over a decade, and at that job, he was technically her superior. That's a major imbalance right there. The power dynamics were clearly skewed. If this relationship had been with a woman closer to his own age, maybe it wouldn't have felt so predatory. And honestly, I'm not the only one who thinks that. If people really thought their relationship was so sweet and innocent, then why did both of them end up quitting their jobs after word got out about the affair and our divorce? That speaks volumes. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here to shame Nikki. She's an adult, she can make her own decisions, and I respect that. But Sam? He's the one I'm judging. He cheated on me with someone significantly younger, someone who was in a much more vulnerable professional position. That's just gross and unethical. At least, that's how I see it. If folks don't agree with me, that's fine. I'm not asking anyone to. But I also don't think I deserve the kind of hate I've gotten just for speaking my truth. He betrayed me. I think I've earned the right to call it like I see it. And just to be clear, I never told our friends to stop speaking to him. I didn't feed them any lies or stir up drama. They made those decisions on their own after I told them the truth. If they chose to distance themselves, that's on them, not me. I've honestly done my best to handle all this with maturity. I didn't want drama. I just wanted out. I wanted the marriage to be over and the divorce to be finalized as quickly as possible. So when people come after me online, calling me names or accusing me of being bitter, it stings. Because I've tried so hard to move on with grace. To those who've been kind and respectful, thank you. And to the rest. I honestly don't know what's wrong with some of y'all, but the hate is unnecessary and unfair. Now for a little update, I finally wrote back to Sam. I told him I appreciated the offer to make me a partner in his new business, but that I wasn't interested. He already cheated on me once, and I'm not about to give him another chance to screw me over, professionally or personally. I explained that, yes, I'd spoken to Jonathan. But I never told him to back out of the deal. That decision was 100% Jonathan's. All I did was tell him the truth about who Sam really is. And honestly, Sam has no one to blame but himself. He was the one who sent me those engagement photos. That's how I even realized Jonathan was involved. That connection? He practically handed it to me. I also made it clear that even if I could convince Jonathan to change his mind, I wouldn't. Because I know the kind of person Sam is. I know how petty and vindictive he can be. And I wouldn't wish a business partnership with him on anyone. If Sam had truly changed, if he hadn't sent me that nasty email in the first place, maybe things would have played out differently. But he didn't. He's still the same selfish, manipulative person he's always been. So yeah, I think he deserves what he's getting. In my email, I told him he needs to move on. Because I'm not the one stuck in the past, whining about how our mutual friends won't talk to me anymore. He cheated. He broke their trust, not me. I ended the email by telling him the real villain in his story isn't me, it's him. He keeps blowing up his own life and then looks for someone else to blame. And I told him flat out that his "I'm winning at life" speech was just sad. Because truly happy people don't need to announce it to the folks they claim to be over. After I sent that, I blocked his email. I didn't want to hear from him again. Of course, he might make a new account and try to reach out again someday, but I'll deal with that if it happens. For now, I'm just grateful. Yesterday, I called Jonathan to thank him. I told him I appreciated his decision not to invest in Sam's business. And he told me something that really hit home. He said I saved him. That he couldn't, in good conscience, invest in someone who'd treat his own partner like that. If Sam could cheat and then turn around and act so cruelly, what kind of business partner would he be? So yeah, maybe I didn't ruin Sam's career. Maybe Sam did that all by himself. Jonathan told me something that really stuck with me. He said that at the end of the day, we're family, even if we haven't been close over the years. "Blood is thicker than water," he said. That meant a lot to me. I was genuinely touched, and to show my appreciation, I invited him and his wife over for dinner this weekend. I even asked my parents to join us. It felt like a big step, like maybe this whole mess with Sam had actually brought some good into my life. Maybe it's what we all needed to feel a little more connected. As for everything that went down with Sam, I had another conversation with my friends. They told me again, without hesitation, that I shouldn't feel guilty about how things turned out for him. And something else came up that I hadn't known before. Turns out, during the divorce, Sam had been working overtime behind my back, trying to turn my friends against me. They had kept it quiet at the time because they didn't want to hurt me more than I already was. But apparently, he was telling them I was the reason he cheated. He called me insecure, controlling, and even said I had anger issues. He tried to make me out to be the villain so they'd testify against me and sway the divorce in his favor. But none of them bought it. Not a single one. They stuck with me, and now I finally understand why Sam is still so bitter, because even when he played dirty, no one turned their back on me. Knowing this made all the guilt I'd been feeling just evaporate. I don't feel bad anymore. Actually, let me be clear, I know he deserved everything that came his way. And I'm done feeling sorry for him. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since I blocked Sam, and I haven't heard a peep from him since, thankfully. The dinner with Jonathan and my aunt went wonderfully, and having my parents there made it even better. It was the first time in years my mom got to really reconnect with her cousin. We laughed, we ate, and for once, it just felt peaceful. Like something had clicked into place. Even better? Jonathan told me that after learning the truth, his brother had also cut ties with my ex-father-in-law. That honestly surprised me, since Sam's parents had stood by him through everything. But hearing that felt like justice. It meant a lot. And just when I thought the drama was behind me, Nikki showed up. I don't know how she found my address, but late one evening, right as I was about to warm up some leftovers, I saw her standing outside my door. I told her flat out to leave, that I didn't want anything to do with her. I think anyone in my position would have done the same. But she didn't go. Instead, she threw a tantrum right there on my doorstep. She accused me of being a jealous loser, said I just couldn't stand that Sam was happier with her, and that I'd gone out of my way to ruin their lives. She called me crazy and told me I needed to stop obsessing over them. That's when I realized she had no idea about how I'd found out about Jonathan. She didn't know that Sam himself had given me that information by sending those photos and that ridiculous email. So I told her about it. I laid it all out. I even said I'd be happy to forward the email to her, and she actually made me do it. She stood right there and watched as I sent it. After she read it, she didn't say another word. She turned around and walked away. No apology. No anger. Just silence. That told me everything I needed to know. A little while later, as I was finally settling down to eat, she sent me an email. In it, she called me a horrible human being, said I was petty and miserable for ruining Sam's life and career. But at that point, I didn't even feel hurt, I just felt validated. I responded and told her that both she and Sam needed to leave me alone. I made it very clear that if they kept pushing, I'd have no problem airing everything on social media. And if that happened, everyone would see them for who they really were. I meant every word. Update 3. Okay, so here's the cherry on top, some fantastic news I just had to share. It's been almost a month since all this went down. And 3 days ago, some friends of mine let me know that Sam and Nikki had officially broken off their engagement. Apparently, they cited irreconcilable differences, which honestly sounded like a PR line. I mean, come on, they weren't married, so why make it sound so formal? They also asked for privacy, which is hilarious considering Sam has been gossiping about Nikki nonstop to anyone who'll listen. According to my friends, he's been badmouthing her relentlessly. From what we could piece together, she probably ended things a couple of weeks ago right after I sent her that email and exposed what Sam had been doing behind her back. She must have realized that he was still obsessed with me enough to try hurting me again. Not only that, but he lied to her, he never mentioned that email, or that he was the reason Jonathan backed out of the business deal. Once she found out, I think she saw him for who he really is and walked away. And how did Sam react? By trash-talking her. He told people she only stayed with him for the money and the stability. That since he moved in with her, he'd been footing all the bills and she didn't contribute a dime. It was gross to hear how quickly he turned on her, just like he did with me. Anyway, I think it's poetic justice. Right now, Sam has no job, no business, and no fiancé. He's hit rock bottom and I don't feel bad for him. Not even a little. As for me? I'm doing great. Work is going well. My friends and family are still here, supporting me every step of the way. And honestly, that's all I need. I even decided I'm finally getting a cat, something I held off on for years because Sam was allergic. But now, there's nothing holding me back. Life feels good. I'm fulfilled. And I've moved on.